Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the Comic Hero Show. Now kick that logo! Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. This month is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. Now, cervical cancer is a type of cancer among women that occurs in the cells of the cervix, which is the lower part of the uterus that connects to the vagina. It's mostly caused by a sexually transmitted infection called human papillomavirus, or HPV. There are less than 200,000 cases per year, making it the least common cancer among women. And I personally know some women that are survivors of cervical cancer. It can be treated. It can be treated three ways: either through chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery. And some of the women that I know that that have beaten it chose the surgical route, and unfortunately, it resulted in then having to have a hysterectomy, and that really breaks my heart because I believe that all women deserve to be moms, and you know, my heart goes out to any woman that, you know, I mean, I'm very happy and very thrilled that they survived, but it's heartbreaking just to know that because they had to have a hysterectomy in order to beat the cancer, that they won't have children. It's a very sad situation. There just are no words. I mean, again, I believe all women deserve to be moms, or they deserve to carry children and deliver them. All right, well, this is a cervical cancer comic hero tee that I made. It also included the awareness ribbon. And if you are any of the women that I know that are survivors of cervical cancer, or if you're battling cervical cancer, or if you know someone that has either survived or has been a victim of cervical cancer, you know, my heart goes out to y'all. I mean, and this episode is for y'all. All right, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. All right, on last week's episode, I asked which comic book character is the first to be rebooted, meet its alternate universe self, and have their mantle inherited by their sidekick. Now, I gave some hints on social media. The first hint was that this character had two TV shows. One was on CBS for one season in 1990, 1991, and then the current one has been on the CW since 2014. And the second hint was that John Wesley Shipp, Grant Gustin, and Michael Rosenbaum have either played the physical role or the voice of this character. Well, the correct answer is The Flash. And 9 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their name's been in a drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Shelly McIntyre from Hope, Arkansas. So congratulations, Shelly. You won yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode, and this is another great question. It's hard, but once I give the hints, it's going to be very easy. Which comic book character outsold the entire comics industry for most of the 1940s? Now, here are some hints. This character had their own movie that came out last year, and it starred Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi played the lead role. And here's the second hint. Now, for those of y'all, I know a lot of y'all saw that movie, so y'all ought to know the answer to that question. All right, now the next hint is that this character, until DC had discontinued it sometime in the 1950s or 1960s, went by the name Captain Marvel but then had to have the name changed due to a legal settlement between DC and Marvel. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. Alright, now Ryan Chapman from Warren, Ohio has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one features the Man Without Fear against one of the most vicious bad guys in comics who likes to dine on turtle soup, but has failed every time. Representing Marvel, we have Daredevil. And representing IDW, we have Shredder. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Daredevil versus Shredder. Daredevil is a skilled acrobat, martial artist, and stick fighter who possesses superhuman senses, echolocator radar sense, and utilization of a specially designed billy club. Shredder possesses genius intelligence, mastery of martial arts, ninjutsu, and hand-to-hand combatant, and utilizes non-invulnerable armor equipped with claws and blades. Who will win? Shredder believes he has his fight in the bag because Daredevil is legally blind. The former is going to find out that there's truth to never underestimating your opponent. Believe it or not, the only advantage Shredder has over Daredevil is ninjutsu. However, Daredevil has experience with having to fight the hand, almost to the point where martial arts has become second nature. The two would exchange vicious punches and kicks for minutes on end. Shredder then decides to play dirty by delivering a cut to Daredevil's face. Shredder then arrogantly says, "Tonight I dine on devil's soup," and tries to gut Daredevil in the midsection. However, the latter, thanks to his radar sense, blocks the attack with his billy club and headbutts him. The Man Without Fear then goes on offense by wrapping the steel cables to his billy club around Shredder's neck, yanks him forward, and ends the fight with a deadly heart punch. Daredevil wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Thank you, Ryan Chapman, for that request. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll have another one for next week. Now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, now I'm only going to talk about one thing on this segment of Comically Speaking, and that's what's going on in the XMen books. Now, there are currently 6 X-Men books that are for print on Marvel. There's more to come, including a new Wolverine series, a new Cable series, a new Hellion series, and then I just found out a few days ago a new X-Factor series. But in the X-Men book, it's pretty much characters like Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, Cable, Prestige, Havoc, and all them. And they've all, for the most part, they're all selling well on the island of Krakoa. And the last issue of X-Men I read, Professor X, Magneto, Apocalypse, Cyclops, and Gorgon all head to to some kind of mixer or something like that, or where they're meeting with leaders and ambassadors of different countries. And it was all set up by the U.S. ambassador, and we find out that the U.S. ambassador set this up in order to murder Professor X. Now, in X-Force, someone had somehow got on the island Krakoa and murdered Professor X. But thanks to 5 other mutants, they were able to resurrect Professor X. That's that's the weird thing. Now mutants have now there are mutants that have the means and the technology to bring characters from the dead. And not only that, they also have different cures for just about any disease you can think of. Well, the second attempt goes wrong, and as Cyclops and Gorgon become hired help, and then Professor X telepathically lets them know, hey, they're coming to get us, take them down. And while this is all going on, Magneto and Apocalypse pretty much stole on the entire table and told them, hey, we're on top, and there's not a thing you can do about it. And then meanwhile, in this book called The New Mutants, these are some of the classic characters like Cannonball, Mirage, Sunspot, Karma, and several others. And they end up going into space and then somehow being imprisoned by the Shi'ar. And then there are other characters, meanwhile, back on Earth that have found out that two characters that were in a recent volume of XMen, the father of one of them was dying. So they go out there and they find out that he's dying, and they give him some kind of medicine, brings him back to full health. But then all of a sudden these guys show up, and they pretty much hold all of them hostage and say, either you give us the medicine give us some of your medicine, or you're gonna die. Well, that didn't work. And also there's a book called X-Force. Now, X-Force is pretty much Law and Order minus the court cases. I mean, you have the law side, which is pretty much Wolverine and Quentin Quire, and then you have the order side, which is Beast, Jean Grey, and Sage. And in other words, now at one point X-Force was pretty much the team that eliminated the threat, while the other teams pretty much protected the dream. On this one, they do both, and so far they've really done a great job. And I love what Jonathan Hickman and all these other writers and artists have done on this book. I mean, the best is most definitely yet to come. I mean, I love the fact that all these characters are now on an island, and it's not just good mutants and card-carrying members of X-Men and some of the affiliated teams like the New Mutants, X-Force, the Marauders, and all them. But it's also, Apocalypse is also part of that. But then we find out in the current volume of Excalibur that he purposely placed Rogue into a vegetative state. That wasn't done by accident. And in the last issue, Rogue comes out of a vegetative state and absorbs and kills, or seemingly kills, Apocalypse. And Betsy Braddock, who is now back in her own body, is now taking up the mantle of Captain Britain after her brother Brian Braddock was kidnapped by Morgan Le Fay. And you're probably wondering, okay, if Betsy Braddock is back in her own body, then what about Psylocke? Well, Psylocke is Psylocke, she's now Quanon, who she hasn't really been in a very... because right after Betsy Braddock had died, she shared a body with Quanon, and they were both Psylocke for years and years. And we find out in the book called Fallen Angels that before Betsy had shared a body with Quanon, Quanon had gave birth to two children, a daughter and a son. Unfortunately, the daughter died, but the son has pretty much thinks he's God, and he wants to kill everyone. And in this book, some of the characters in this book are Psylocke, Cable, X-23, and then Husk, aka Paige Guthrie, who is Cannonball's sister. And also Bling is in the book as well. And I mean, some of the things that are going on in these books, I mean, it's almost like Jonathan Hickman has taken the X-Men to a whole new level with House of 10 and Powers of 10 last summer. And these books, well, obviously are continuations from that. And I can't wait to read more. Alright, that's it for Comically Speaking. Let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
All right, first up is Captain America number 18. Excalibur number 6. Fantastic Four number 18. Marauders number 6. New Mutants number 6. Superman number 19. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 102. Thor number 2. Wonder Woman number 750. X-Force number 6. And finally, X-Men number 5. Alright, that's 11, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 9,832. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Here's a question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Which comic book character outsold the entire comics industry for most of the 1940s? Now, here's some hints. The first hint is that this character came out with their own movie last year that starred Zachary Levi. The second hint is that this character, before DC temporarily discontinued it, went by Captain Marvel. Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Shelly McIntyre from Hope, Arkansas, who won a free tee on this week's episode. Sometimes, there are folks that, ask me, why do I raise awareness of different causes, especially if there are causes that women usually go through. Well, my answer is, why not? We can't. The problem with a lot of us is that when we reach out to people, we want to be selective about it. You cannot be selective. You can't. It doesn't matter if you're a guy in raising awareness of a cause that affects women. That just shows your love for women. I mean, that shows my love for women. That not just for women, but for everyone. I've also raised awareness of prostate cancer. That's one of the things I do whenever whenever the month of September rolls around, and that's something that I'm going to continue to do. There's nothing wrong with reaching out to people and letting them know that everything's going to be fine. Nothing. And I have no regrets about it. And that's something that I'm going to keep doing for as long as I'm doing this show. Alright, now beginning in episode 295 through episode 299 throughout the entire month of February, Mardi Gras. Now Mardi Gras is a really big deal here in Louisiana, and has been for a very long time, and it's going to continue to be a big deal. Now, on all 4 episodes in the month of February, I'm going to be wearing Mardi Gras comic hero tees, and there's going to be 4 of them. One is going to be green, one's going to be gold, one's going to be purple, and one's going to be ash. Now, the 3 colors of Mardi Gras are purple, green, and gold. Purple represents justice, green represents faith, and gold represents power. And I'm going to wear all 3 of those, and also another Mardi Gras comic hero tee. It's gonna be another color. I did say ash, and that's only because I'm going to combine all 3 colors of Mardi Gras. And you may even see Louisiana delicacy here on the desk in the next few episodes. And one of my friends, Hillary Brasher from West Monroe, Louisiana, was telling me, "Wow, Victor, you're really close to 300 episodes." Yeah, haven't really given that a lot of thought. Here's the longer I've done this show, the more I've the milestones don't really matter. All that matters is sharing my love of comics and showing love to people that can't show love to who don't show love to themselves or don't show enough love to themselves. That's all that matters. I mean, when a 300th episode rolls around, I'll think about doing something. But that's not why I do the show, where I celebrate milestones. Because it's my show, but I love to be informative and I love to reach out to people. That's the true message of the show, and that's always going to be the true message of the show for as long as I'm doing it. All right, I'm Victor Nolley on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 296. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.